Hello everyone and welcome to this finally last episode of my let's call it the Ottoman campaign with the Total War mod in HOI4. And as you will notice, this video will cover the years 1943 and 1944, just because in the latter one there will be the extremely boring push into Africa, and I decided to sped up that section by basically 100-fold. So because it was just really boring, and I actually didn't even want to upload that, but then we decided, okay, let's do it anyway for you guys. So I don't know if you remember in my previous episode, but I was kind of shocked and surprised to see that the Soviet AI basically failed to let's say realize of the threat that was coming from the Caucasus. And I think I spoke too early, because in January of 1943 the Soviet AI finally, I think, realized what was going on and decided to shift a lot of troops from the German Western Front to the Caucasian Front. And heavier as you have just seen, as soon as I saw this layer of Soviet divisions coming, I thought, okay, now it's time to go once again on the offensive. And for the second time, I think that the Soviet AI did I would say a really bad mistake. I think this is really something that against an artificial intelligence you can't control, but what I thought happened is that the Soviets did not have any strategic reserve, so they just pulled out troops from the front. And what I noticed is that they took troops from the Rostov region, and they completely left the whole Rostov area uncovered. And of course the Germans noticed that, and they began pushing into Rostov as well. And yeah, so as I said, as soon as I saw this, I ordered my troops to advance, and I think that the combination of me attacking from the south and the Germans attacking from the west led once again to a collapse of the Soviet lines. And honestly, I think that the presence of my air force could have also accelerated the enemy capitulation. And the joining of the Ottoman German front led to, let's say, a bad surprise from my side, because when I reassigned my troops along the new border, I failed to realize that now the whole front line was stretching along the whole eastern front. And it took me quite some time to see where are my troops going. Why are my troops so diluted along the whole front line? And then when I saw it, I was like, oh my goodness, what did I do? And as I was busy fighting the last pocket of Soviet troops which were trapped into the Kerch Peninsula, I realized my bigger mistake, and therefore I removed the whole front line. And exactly, I removed the whole front line, and then I just redeployed my troops into the Asian steppe, I would say. Yeah, and the shape that the front took at the moment was kind of interesting, because it tempted me to do I would call it the Pac-Man movement, so to really eat up the Soviet troops which were now trapped between Stalingrad, the Don Bend, the city over the Volga, I think it's Saratov, and another city which is located, I guess, east of Voronezh. And to do that, I decided to put a lot of effort into my motorized troops. And this is actually the period in which I really understood the value of having a large and motorized army, and this is why I would really love to do the Germany's challenge with a motorized and mechanized army only. To make the micromanagement of my units much easier, as you've seen, I disbanded the whole front line, and then I pulled out the best of myself. So I started picking all the tiles in which I had more than 2 divisions at a time, and I made a small reserve here next to Barinkovo, I don't know. Anyway, in that area, and the idea was to make a gradual encirclement of the Soviet troops, while progressively extending the logistical networks by capturing the most important victory points in the region. And as you can see, the bulk of the encirclement was carried out by my cavalry and motorized divisions, which were, I would say, literally flying on the wings of the encirclement. Even though I would say that not everything went according to my plans, because I guess because of the lack of organization and or supplies, I had to, fight for some tiles really heavily. And for instance, in this case, once I managed to clean, let's say, trap some Soviet divisions, I realized too late that my cavalry units were too weak, and the Soviet AI managed to let's say, break through my defensive perimeter twice, and unfortunately this helped the trapped Soviet divisions to fall back. So again, I think this is not the first time that it happens that I fail on encirclement. And what else? In the south, I managed to surround Stalingrad, because once again, by pushing to the north, I think that the Soviet AI reached a limit in terms of number of divisions available. So they paved the way for a southern strike, which I did, and this helped me to surround Stalingrad. Even though the city of Stalin was defended by just one weak garrison division, the Battle of Stalingrad lasted for 1 month, one entire month. Still, at the end of the battle, 4 infantry divisions were set free. And an interesting and unexpected development of the situation arose in mid-June 1943, when Japan and its puppet state of Manchukuo declared war on the Soviet Union. And this, I must say, it was the beginning of the end for Stalin's regime, because as the Japanese advanced into Vladivostok and into Siberia, I guess the morale of the Soviet troops just collapsed, and as a consequence, my troops were able to spread free and advance in every direction, and they linked up with the Germans in late June 1943. And right as Operation Citadel commenced, what remained of the Red Army trapped south of Saratov and north of Stalingrad was gradually wiped out. And I forgot when did it happen, but somewhere, I think in mid-July, the Soviet Union finally collapsed once again. And during the peace deal, a really ugly border war began between Germany and the Ottoman Empire, which basically all the territories that I wanted to gain were separated by a big chunk of land which was now occupied by the Germans. I feared that the collapse of the Soviet Union might have led to a collapse of the game, as it happened with my previous campaign with China, but luckily, this did not happen. And with this, I resumed the game, and I decided to complete the Grand Ottoman Empire by launching a last push into Africa. The situation began really badly for me because I had a lot of supplies issues, and that's because my troops were fighting officially on Italian territory, and because of the limitations of the game mechanics, when you're fighting into a territory of one of your allies, if you gain more territories, your allies will in the end gain control of that territory. I know I didn't like it, but I didn't know what to do to physically gain control of Egypt and all of the other African British colonies. So I had to completely rely on the Italians to build up the infrastructures in the region to facilitate the supplies flow. Luckily for me, because of my motorized troops, I managed to capture Port Sudan, which partially alleviated the supply issues, but still the war into Africa was kind of boring for me, because it was just really advance, then wait, reorganize, stockpile supplies again, and then again advance, try to encircle something, destroy, wipe out. Oh shit, there are 55 more allied divisions coming, and yeah. So actually, this is something that I really did not understand. I think I was playing on the hardest difficulty, and I think because of the huge bonuses that the AI enjoys when playing on the hardest difficulty, I realized that the allies had an insane amount of divisions in Africa, and I think this should be kind of rebalanced, I think, because it's just not possible. And oh by the way, so here I managed to get one division encircled in Africa. I was surprised that the AI did not try to finish that division off, because it was actually a motorized division, so for me it was really expensive to get those guys on the field. I don't know why, but just the AI did not wipe out that division, and I was able to rescue it and use it again for a more offensive operations. So yeah, I was saying that I was really surprised to see how many divisions the allies were spawning into Africa, and I don't know that if this was really a thing back in the World War II days. I know that they had I would say an interesting logistical network with which they also helped in defeating the Axis and Rommel's Africa Corps, but yeah, for me that was a bit exaggerated, and yeah, I had to rely on the Italian AI to bring in troops, infrastructures, and supplies for me. And at that point, I was really bored by the state of this campaign, because it was just really a World War I trench style, really men crawling and struggling to advance into this desert and dry region, hot, I don't know, yeah. And one thing that I observed is that while after having defeated Russia interestingly, Japan began an amphibious invasion of India, which failed, which really failed at the beginning, and all of a sudden, I think it was in 1944, somehow the Japanese unlocked, exactly, maybe you saw that now, that small bridgehead in India, and it was in 1944 that the Japanese unlocked the situation. At the end of 1943, I realized that Stalin found a shelter in Batumi, and when I declared war against the Soviet Union, I completely disregarded the 6 Soviet divisions that were still trapped there. And luckily for me, the Bulgarian government decided to send 35 volunteer divisions, which I kindly accepted, and I threw them in the Soviet meat grinder in the Caucasus. And yeah, so this was an unexpected drawback of the Soviet Union, but as I said, most of my attention was now focused into Africa, and at this point I really didn't know what to do because there were no airports. I could not build anything there. The advance was really slow, and it took me basically 1 whole year to capitulate the whole of Africa. And when Africa capitulated, I decided to end my series here because I achieved what I wanted to achieve. So reclaim some of the territories held by the Ottoman Empire, defeat the Soviet Union, and help the Axis to win the war into Africa. And yeah, with this I would say I'm at the end. I enjoyed playing Turkey and restoring the Ottoman Empire, and as I said, as I previously mentioned in one of my videos, the next step would be to play as Italy, and after that play a campaign with Germany. I don't know if you heard, but the new DLC La Resistance will be released on February 25th, so almost I would say 3 weeks. And before that, I would really love to challenge myself with Italy, as well as with Germany, with my crazy motorized campaign only. With Italy, I also did some small changes to the focus tree, but most importantly, I did some changes also to Ethiopia. But more of this will come in the next video. Yeah, so guys, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for supporting my channel. Please, as always, leave a comment, like the videos if you really like them, and a big thank and all my love to the guys of the Total War mod. I will never stop saying that. This is, I think, the best mod ever. I mean, Black Ice is also interesting, but I can't play with that because it just crashes on my PC. I have no idea why. But if you cannot play Black Ice, please guys, subscribe to the Total War mod, because this is really a must for all the history nerds like me. I would love to play a multiplayer campaign if you really want to, and if you have the Total War mod, because I would really love to play an historical campaign with you guys. And if you agree, I think it would be really nice also to have it on my channel. But yeah, more of this in the next videos and or in your comments below. Thank you very much guys. Thanks for watching, take care, and see you very soon.